One day, Rosie was idling in the yard when Percy arrived.
Guess what, Rosie?
What?
Replied Rosie.
Pegasus is coming home from the mainland.
Said Percy.
He's a flying horse.
Flying horse?
Rosie didn't seem to be too convinced.
Oh yes,
Added Percy.
I saw it with my own eyes. He flew right above me once.
And Percy puffed away, leaving Rosie very puzzled.
Can horses really fly?
She asked her driver. Bless you, no, he chuckled. Pegasus is a cart horse that lives on Thomas's branch line. Harold once had to rescue him from a ditch and airlifted him to the vicar's fete. I've heard he'll arrive by rail, and, if we work hard, the Fat Controller might choose us to take him. After hearing that, Rosie felt excited, and they went back to work. Later, Rosie puffed in with some empty trucks when she saw the Fat Controller. He looked flustered. Botheration, he said. Emily's broken down and there's no one to take Pegasus home. What am I going to do? Excuse me, sir, called Rosie's driver. Is there anything we can do to help? The Fat Controller turned around and smiled. Indeed there is. I need an engine to take Pegasus. Can you do it, please?
Oh yes, sir. Of course, sir.
Replied Rosie.
I'll deliver that horse on time.
That's a good engine, the Fat Controller said. Off you go, please. Rosie was delighted and puffed away. When she arrived, a worker was giving Pegasus a drink before loading him into the horsebox. Rosie couldn't wait to start the journey.
I'm taking the horse. I'm taking the horse.
She sang. Calm down, old girl. We'll cause an accident. Then it happened. Pegasus was startled and began jumping and clopping around. I need some help here, called the worker loudly, and he, the driver, fireman and the guard all tried to calm the horse down. It took a long time before Pegasus calmed down and was quickly loaded on. Phew, let's hope nothing else happens on the way, said the driver. That horse was a nightmare to deal with. But as they puffed away, the van's doors weren't shut properly. Rosie was heading for trouble. Everything was going well as they journeyed along the line.
Not a cloud in the sky today.
Thought Rosie.
What could go wrong?
Really, Rosie should have known better. The van doors started to shudder and bump until they came undone, and Pegasus, scared out of his wits, jumped out and landed straight into a field. But neither Rosie nor her crew heard this. They soon arrived at the junction, where Thomas was waiting to collect the horse.
Here he is.
Called Rosie.
Rosie,
Replied Thomas.
where's Pegasus?
What do you mean? He's right here.
No, he's not.
Added Thomas.
The van's empty.
Rosie looked over in shock. Thomas was right. Pegasus wasn't in the van.
Oh no! I must have forgotten him.
Rosie was so sad, she nearly cried. Meanwhile, Percy was making his way home with a train of cattle trucks, when he saw a familiar horse in a field.
Hold on, is that Pegasus?
Indeed it is, replied the driver. But what is he doing there?
Well, whatever happened, we better take him with us.
But where is Rosie? Thought the driver. Percy pondered for a moment. Then he smiled.
Maybe she's at Elsbridge Junction. We're going that way anyway.
So the crew went over to the field to collect Pegasus. They loaded him up and puffed on to find Rosie. Back at the junction, Rosie's crew looked all over the van and found the problem. That blasted worker forgot to shut the doors properly. They must have opened up and the horse jumped out,
I hope he isn't hurt.
said Rosie sadly.
I'm sure he'll be fine.
Soothed Thomas.
He'll soon turn up.
Rosie! Rosie! Look what I found!
Rosie was surprised to find the horse in a cattle truck.
Where did you find him?
She asked.
He was in the field by the line. What happened?
So Rosie told Percy all about what had happened. When she had finished, her crew loaded Pegasus back into the horsebox and was coupled behind Thomas.
Not good with horses, are you, Rosie?
Replied Thomas cheekily,
Oh well, better luck next time, eh?
and Thomas puffed away, laughing.
Rosie.
Never mind, Rosie.
Replied Percy.
It wasn't your fault, it was that silly worker's fault.
Thanks, Percy.
Said Rosie. She felt better now. The next day, Rosie returned back to her usual jobs. Thomas had told the others all about what had happened, but he soon shut up when Percy reminded him of his play day with a swan.